practitioners don't get a lot of training on menopause, and what they have been told was wrong, but they haven't, there has not been this huge push to correct that. The tide is turning. More and more voices are beginning to be heard, and women are demanding more.
Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. I created this podcast to give you inspiration and let you know you're not alone in feeling stuck in midlife. I also invite you to join the Age Agitators Club for women, where we come together monthly to hatch our plans for making waves as we age. Being part of this community for women will remind you on a regular basis that you're not too old, and it's never too late to do that thing you've been thinking about. You can find more information at latebloomerliving.com/community, and I hope to see you there. Where do I start? We're going to talk about hormones today, and I'm just going to do a little personal testifying right now. Some stuff was going on in my 40s that I only now, at the age of 56, realize was hormonally based challenges, the hormones that were causing perimenopause that I didn't even know was happening in my life. And I suspect that I'm not alone in that journey, that a lot of us, depending on your age, whether you have gone through the process into menopause or whether you're just beginning, whether you're on the other side of it, there is a whole lot that, I don't think a lot of women know much about our own bodies. And so I'm really excited for today's guest. Her name is Kate Wells. She's a hormone expert and a self-proclaimed true biochem nerd who has been educating health practitioners about hormones for many years. She's also the author of A Forecast for Health. She is a co-founder of Parlor Games, which has a suite of products for women to help them balance their hormones. Oh my gosh. She started off as a high school science teacher and then pivoted into the business world, getting an MBA. She has a passion for science and business, and she found the perfect match in doing what she's doing. So I'm super excited to talk to her about the whole road that's brought her to what she's doing here. And let's talk about hormones while we're at it. Kate, thank you so much for being with me today.
Oh, I'm giddy with excitement.
I
I
am
have
too.
the chance to talk about hormones. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my goodness, it's great to have you here. So let's back up to high school teacher and the switch into getting your MBA and what that was like for you before we get into the rest of it.
Well, I come from a long line of teachers. We're all bossy in our family. You should see our family dinners. It's nuts. And I went into teaching, and I love teaching. I do. I love sharing knowledge. I love exciting the kids. I was also ambitious, and I realized that if I was going to progress in a career in teaching, it would be up the administrative ladder, and I would not be in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was going to be administering something, why not have it be business? Because then I'd get paid more. So I decided to switch out of that. I actually went into banking in the UK first and was on a management training program. And then when my former husband and I moved to the States, I said, well, I'll come on the condition that I can do my MBA. And that started a long love affair with business, the whole business process, and learning to be a good leader. So I've loved so much of that and learned so much about myself through that process.
Yes, that's a huge learning journey. How old were you when you got your MBA?
I was 33 when I graduated. I had my first daughter halfway through, and was 33 when I got my MBA. So having, had my daughter, and finished my degree, I was still actually waiting for my green card, but I could do consulting work. And so I did quite a bit of consulting early on and then found my way into laboratory medicine, not as a laboratorian, but as a professional businesswoman, and started running clinical laboratories in the operations role, the president role, product development. A lot of the marketing and outreach kind of was guided by my desire to educate, educate practitioners and educate patients. So I figured if they understood the beauty of some of these testing methods, then they would get to that aha moment that I'm always after when I'm teaching, when I see the light go on in somebody's eyes and they see how something can make a difference to the work that they're doing.
Lab work in general, or was it a specific niche or a specific field
It was
within the
very
medical?
definitely a specific niche. Yes, the
Uh-huh.
first lab that I worked for, it was a salivary hormone testing lab. There's the word hormones appearing
Ah,
so soon in our conversation.
uh-huh.
We were doing salivary hormone testing, and then we added urinary neurotransmitter testing. So we were looking not just at the hormone makeup of the body, but the neurotransmitter makeup of the brain as well. Of course, they're also integrated. So this was providing this very specialty testing for functional medicine practitioners. And these practitioners were really wanting to get to the root cause of disease. These are not practitioners who are saying, oh, here's a cluster of symptoms, take this pill. These are practitioners like, ooh, cluster of symptoms. Let's get to the root cause here. And they would do the specialty testing as part of unearthing what are some of the core issues.
Oh, that is fascinating. So now your book, which I'm holding in my hand, A Forecast for Health, Understanding Your Potential for Lifelong Wellness. The intro, you talk about working with functional practitioners as doctors, and it's something that I personally, I'm just going to say, have been fascinated with recently as a possible avenue for looking at my own health and how to manage my own health. So you end up working in hormone testing and with the urine testing for the repeat it for me again because this helped me.
Neurotransmitters, yes. Yeah. Little
Neurotransmitters.
brain messengers, yes.
Yes, yes, it's all tied together, right? At what point did you start to have some sort of an aha moment around women's health and the track you're on now? What brought you to where you are today?
Um, it's at the time you feel it's a twisted journey, but when I look back, oh no, it wasn't at all. It was just these stepping stones that kept appearing in front of me. So while I was working at the lab, I went to many medical conferences representing the lab. And, we would educate the practitioners, but I would also visit with a lot of the other vendors, and many of those are women in their 40s and 50s. And it dawned on me how little they really understood about their bodies and what was going on, particularly with their hormones. And so I would end up talking to them about it. And I would find myself in all sorts of situations. I remember one time being at the dentist with my daughter and having a circle of dental hygienists around me talking about tender breasts and progesterone. It
Really?
was like wherever went, I ended up in this conversation about hormones. So it led me to write the book, to really try and pull a lot of information together for someone who really wanted to understand what's going on with their body. But then my best friend Kirsty reached out to me to say that she was having a particular hormone health issue, and I provided a solution for her. And that got us thinking, well, if she's having this issue and I've already resolved this issue in myself, then there have to be lots of other women trying to deal with this issue. And that brought us to found our company, Parlor Games.
Okay. So how much can you or do you want to say about the problem that had come up and what was the
Oh,
solution you found?
well, the problem is dry vaginas, and we get to say that all the time at work. And we even, based on how fast we're growing, we even get to say things like, whoever thought there would be so many dry vaginas out there? Um, this is a regular conversation. So one of the issues that comes as this miserable shock to many women after menopause is vaginal dryness. Estrogen is so important for this area of the body. And after menopause, we just don't make estrogen in the same amounts that we used to. And this poor old tissue is sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for estrogen. And estrogen doesn't come. And eventually it sort of shrivels up a little bit. I mean, we can look at our faces in the mirror and we see that our faces are changing. We see the structure, we see the little wrinkles. What we're not doing is checking our vaginas every day. We don't see that they're getting all wrinkly and dry. But that is in fact what is going on. And if someone is not particularly using their vagina on a regular basis, they don't really notice this for a while. But the skin can become so thin, it can become really tender for someone who is using their vagina on a regular basis or wants to. Sex can become painful.
Yes,
And
I can testify. I'm putting it out there in the world. People, too much information. That has been a problem for me. It is actually what finally, because I couldn't resolve it in any way, shape, or form on my own, it didn't seem to be getting any better. That's what finally convinced me to do hormone replacement therapy.
right,
Yeah.
right. Um, and a complete separate side story that we could spend a long time talking about. But women have not been well served by the medical industry in terms of hormone replacement. There was a bunch of misinformation that made doctors and women very wary about, particularly about estrogen replacement.
I'm raising my
Um,
hand because I
yep,
thought I was like, what kind of natural solution can I come up with so I'm not looking at the dangers of hormone replacement therapy, not realizing that I had, it's funny, that study, what was the name of the study and when
it's the
was it that
Women's
that went
Health
out?
Initiative.
Right. And that went out 20 years ago. Is that in the
2002,
ballpark?
it was stopped with this just explosion of, oh, estrogen causes cancer, blah, 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 blah. Which has turned out to be not true at all. In fact, estrogen can even be protective.
And it's
Um,
really hard to walk back that kind
it
of thing,
is.
isn't it?
Mhm,
Yeah.
right. Practitioners don't get a lot of training on menopause, and what they have been told was wrong, but they haven't, there has not been this huge push to correct that. The tide is turning. More and more voices are beginning to be heard, and women are demanding more. But estrogen replacement, when done carefully, can be safely used for the rest of a woman's life. Ideally, she's monitored by her practitioner. Um, but we do get that question from our ladies once they start using some estriol for vaginal dryness. They'll say, well, how long do I need to be on it? And our response is really, well, how long do you want your vaginal skin, your vulva skin to be healthy? How long do you want your urethra and your bladder to be healthy? And most people say, oh, until about 5 minutes before I'm menopause.
Hmm.
So, this is a long-term
Right.
opportunity for women now.
And we're not just talking about sexual health or, being comfortable during sex and all that. We're talking about the pelvic floor health, which then
Hmm.
ties into UTIs and all kinds of stuff, right? So
Right.
the solution that you ended up finding was estriol as opposed to estradiol. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, there are three different major hormones. One is estrone, the other is estradiol, and the other is estriol. And estradiol is our most powerful, most potent hormone. And we see a lot of that, after puberty, just during the regular course of a cycle. Estriol, however, is a much gentler estrogen. It has about 1/8 of the power of estradiol. And it has been shown repeatedly to be a really good solution, particularly for vaginal vulvar skin. So, yeah, yeah. But your point is it's really important. yes, there are a lot of women who truly miss being intimate with their partner, and using estriol cream is going to, return that sense of joy and connection with their partner. It's also about having a body be healthy. I was saying before about maintaining our body in the same way we'd fix plumbing or fix a window. Well, when we don't have estrogen in our pelvic area, the skin gets thin, it can tear easily, and that can start a state of inflammation. Because anytime there's a rip in the skin or dangerous, tears in the skin, the body wants to repair it. And so it kicks up the inflammatory response to repair the skin. Because it's so thin, that repair never completely finishes. And so you've got this state of low grade inflammation. And we know that inflammation in the body is one of the root causes of some more serious diseases like cardiovascular disease, like dementia, like memory changes. Um, so, doing everything we can to reduce inflammation is one of those really positive things we can do to maintain our health.
What are some things that we can do to manage inflammation, keep it down? I mean, I've tried to tackle a little bit of that by cutting back on the amount of sugar in my diet. That's just been something that I made the choice to do because I oh my goodness, Kate, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but I would get out of bed in the mornings and I literally would feel like I was an old woman in my 40s, like feeling like, oh, my feet hurt, everything hurts at the end of the night before bed. Same thing. Like there was just like this pain through my body. I was like, wow, where is all this coming from? And I started to realize that, I had a lifetime habit of eating cereal before bed every night and just sugar throughout the day. Why not? And the more I started to read about sugar, I was like, okay, well, maybe it's time to make a change, Yvonne. And I think I have to say it has helped tremendously. So I'll just speak personally that is one way that I have started managing it and it is working for me. But are there other things people can do?
Oh yes, there's lots of things. And you hit the nail on the head with sugar. It is so inflammatory to the body. We are not meant to eat the amount of sugar that we do. Um, exercise. Exercise is important. Because it is moving toxins through our body, so they're not going to collect in our joints and they're not going to collect in our cardiovascular system. Um, it will help move them through to the liver, to the kidneys, where they will be processed and excreted.
I did
But it
not know
helps
this.
us,
Kate, you're blowing
yes,
my mind. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I that was another part of my own personal awakening when I was 48 and feeling awful. Meditation and moving my body every morning and starting to exercise more and take care of myself that way. It moves toxins through the body. This is news to me.
right. So we're very familiar with the bloodstream. We know blood just moves everywhere in our
Mhm.
body. It picks up toxins and will take them off to the liver, where the liver does the cleaning process. And there's different phases of that. They will take those toxins, pop them down into the bowel, pop them down. The kidneys will do a lot of cleaning as well. And those toxins can then be excreted through urine. But we also have another system called the lymph system or the lymphatic system. And this doesn't move as fast as our bloodstream does. It doesn't have a pump like as the heart is for the vascular system. But it's also part of the way that our body cleans up toxins from the body. And these can be, toxins from a food, it could be toxins from the environment, but it can just be the toxins that are involved in our normal metabolic processes of. So the more we move our bodies, the more we help move the lymphatic system and as well as making sure that our heart is exercising and strong. So all of those will clear out toxins, and a large number of toxins in the body increases inflammation. So we've got exercise, cutting down on sugar, making sure we do have enough hormones because those are important. but also managing stress. So many of us live in a toxic stress environment. When we are constantly in a fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight situation, that creates physical stress within the body, and eventually that builds up and increases inflammation in response to that. So, your meditation is super important for managing stress and not allowing us to get caught up into a stress spiral. That's important.
Yeah. Meditating every day has been a life-changing thing for me. And I I've actually double checked with my husband to say, am I imagining it, honey, or am I better at handling stress? And he's like, no, you're definitely better at handling stress. And I have to give the credit to the meditation and the moving my body every day. I think the combination of the two has helped me to learn how to move things through. So that's amazing. I have to say, one of the things that I noticed about your book is that you start off very right out of the gate. You go into talking about sleep and sleep hygiene. Um, and then your chapters, then you talk about hormones, nutrition, and so on, and with stress being the final thing that you talk about. Let's see: sleep, hormones, nutrition, pain, exercise, toxicity, and stress. Those are your chapter headings. And
Yes.
so we've already touched on a few of those things, which I find interesting.
Well, everything is so interwoven. We cannot separate them. If our hormones aren't right, it's going to be hard to sleep because we don't have, temperature regulation. So many women have disrupted sleep, for example, because of imbalanced or insufficient hormones. Hot flashes and night sweats will happen. Um, there's the vasomotor system in the brain, the area that controls our temperatures, right next door to the hypothalamus, where a lot of our hormone activity goes on. And when you've got your hypothalamus saying, "Whoa, where's the hormones? Where's the hormones? Oh, need to make some hormones. I can't make any hormones. I don't." There's nuttiness going on in the hypothalamus. One of the thoughts is, well, the vasomotor system right next door is like having an equal and opposite panic reaction and not knowing what to do. It'll, all right, well, I'll increase the temperature. Oh, no, that didn't work. Let's turn the temperature down. Oh, no, let's increase the temperature again. Oh, no, that didn't work. Let's turn the temperature. So, this imbalance in our hormones can have this knock on effect to our temperature regulation. And
And
so,
is that tied to hot flashes?
yes,
That's
yes.
crazy because, and again, I can only speak from personal experience. When I would have a hot flash, very often it went hand in hand with a stressful moment or a stressful thought that would spike a hot flash for me. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when I was able to just watch it and get curious about it and go, oh, isn't that interesting that that's happening and that that was tied to that thought I just had that sent me into this little loop de loop.
Yeah, very much so. I think the more stressful somebody's life is, I think the harder time they have with perimenopause in particular. We're meant to have hormones on on kind of a steady release over the course of the day. Hormones are what's called pulsatile. You don't get a download in the morning, which lasts you for the rest of the day. They are released in little pulses over the course of the day. And once we go through perimenopause, and in particular, we begin to lose progesterone sooner than estrogen, um, with that, as we don't have that regular supply all the time, we're more likely to have this reaction in our brains in response. Like, where's the hormones? Where's the hormones? Oh my God, where's the hormones? Where's the hormones?
I think in
So
your book you said that it's only been in the past how many years that hot flashes have become more of an issue for women going through perimenopause.
right, right. And some of the thinking on that is that, as lives have got more stressful and we are assaulted by more things, more, our brain is assaulted by more things more often, real or imagined, then we are more likely to experience some of the really uncomfortable and disruptive symptoms, like hot flashes.
Yeah. I will say my sleep improved greatly when I started hormone replacement therapy, and progesterone was part of that. Um,
Yeah.
Definitely has helped that whole thing, which is amazing. Does
Mm.
sleep help with inflammation as well?
Oh, very much so. It's the time in our brain where things calm down and a lot of repair goes on overnight. In addition, we think about melatonin. Melatonin should rise um, at night and kind of peak through 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and then gradually fade away. It's kind of the opposite hormone to cortisol. Cortisol is our wake us up in the morning and peak in the morning and then fade away at bedtime. Well, melatonin is the opposite of that. And melatonin has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. And so sleep is that time where a lot of the other actions that the body takes are still. They're not going on. We're not thinking, we're not moving, we're not running from one place to another. And so all those overnight kind of repair anti-inflammatory processes can be concentrated overnight. So if we don't sleep, we don't get that chunk of time where the body is proactive in doing its repair. And that's why people who sleep poorly can end up with more aches and pains, more irritation in their bodies because they're just not getting that healing period overnight.
Yeah. And then that can be stressful just knowing that, because then if you aren't sleeping, then you can feel a little
Right.
stressed that you're not getting enough sleep. It can be like a whole thing. So that's where we get
Mhm.
into that was one of the first things that you talk about in your book, is setting the scene for getting a good night's sleep and turning down the lights early, and
Mhm.
slowing things down. Sometimes I find that doing a good stretch session in the low light right before bed helps me a lot. Um, Kind of gets rid of all that. And if I switch over to reading fiction, out of a good old-fashioned book on paper,
Mhm.
I find that that also helps me to kind of, I don't know why, but it's fiction, like lets me take my mind away from all this stuff that I
Right.
otherwise am thinking about during the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the solution that you found to help Kirsty, and what happened from there.
It's just been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride, I'll tell you. I'd already tried to retire twice, and clearly that wasn't happening. And I, I eventually, I was saying, we should do something. We should work because she's a serial entrepreneur, and I'm a long-term business operations business manager. We should combine. We should put our heads together, and we should make a product, and we should launch this. And so we made our product called Silky Peach Cream. It's an estriol for vulva application for vaginal dryness. And we each put in $5,600 to buy our first batch of product. And I can remember um, like the combination of trepidation and excitement when that first pallet arrived with three big boxes outside my front door.
I feel it. I feel it. Yes.
It was like, oh, I mean, we have photographs. Because now when our orders arrive, we have three pallets stacked 3 layers high. Um,
Wow.
I mean, it's just taken off. I think there's a couple of things that Kirsty instigated, which is what we were such a great partnership because we're different. We've been friends for such a long time, and so we know and trust each other, and we trust each other to divide the business responsibilities up and just respect each other's area. But she's brilliant about getting messaging across, and she decided right from the front. Yes, I was going to be here to talk about the science stuff, but she was going to have fun with this. And so a lot of our messaging is fun and it's sassy.
Oh, it
And it's
is.
because we want our ladies to get the sassiness back in their lives again. That's what they want. We're here to help them. And um, she she had the brilliant idea of establishing a private Facebook group for our customers. And this is a unique environment where it's safe for women who have no one to talk to about this intimate area of their health, where they can ask questions, where they can share experiences. And it's over 27,000 women in the group.
I'm sorry, say that again. How many?
27,000.
Wow.
And uh, and
That's a
Kirsten, I
lot of
mean, this is
vaginas that you're making a difference for, Kate.
great. Saving the world one vagina at a time is our
I
company
was
motto.
hoping you would say that. It was one of the best things about getting to meet you in New York at the Life in the Pause Festival was that you were there with you had a table at the event and you had on your t-shirt that says saving the
Mhm.
world one vagina at a time. And I just love it. You know, one of the things that I really love and that one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is because I know how passionate you are about the work that you're doing, that you really do feel like you're saving the world one vagina at a time. Like it comes across, and
Yes.
having met you in person now and all the things. Why is it so important to you? Can you speak a little bit to that?
Um, I think women are such a gift to humanity. And certainly in our culture, we don't make the space for them and we don't take care of them so that they can really self-actualize. Once women are past that reproductive phase, they have so much wisdom, they have so much knowledge, there is so much that they can bring to our culture, to our communities. And when they feel crappy, where they don't feel well, where they've lost their sassiness, where they just bleh, I think as a culture, we lose out so much. And, in my dream world, a woman goes in for her physical every year, and the practitioner says, "So, how's your vagina doing? Do you need any help with that?" And she gets an answer, and she gets resources, and she is applauded for, looking after herself, and she's supported as she's looking after herself. And we're so far from that. And so I do feel we're on a double mission. Yes, we're saving vaginas, very definitely, but we're also on a mission to educate. Even practitioners don't really understand how women's bodies work, and so we're doing our best to help ladies understand what's going on with their bodies, so they feel empowered to do something about it, to own how amazing they can be, and to demand something different.
Mm,
So I
I
could be on my
love
soapbox
it.
for a long time there.
I love it. I love it. It really is one of the missions of my pod. I mean, it is the mission of my podcast. Not just for women, but also for men, for people at an age when we're supposed to be slowing down, making room for the next generation, all those ideas. This is the time for us to be stepping forward and helping the next generation because we know stuff and there we can make a difference. We don't have to become invisible. We don't have to lie down, do whatever the traditional model of retirement is that's in people's heads that I feel is so antiquated. We can be effective people in the world until the day we die.
Well, I agree. I mean, that's what I want for myself. Although I won't say that too loudly so my partner can hear me. Because he would actually like to spend a little bit more time with me because he's retired now. And I could see that, over time I will slow down. I won't be working all the hours that I'm working. Gosh, it's not work when it's your mission. It really isn't. Um, but I I don't want to slow down for a moment. My mother's, 87, and I mean she doesn't run around and do the things that she used to, and she's had her own battles with cancer, but she's a knitter. She's a frantic knitter, a frenzied knitter, I should
Exactly. It
say. And
doesn't
she,
have to be work that y-
right.
I think we're so skewed about our ideas about productivity and value, our tying our value to our productivity. And we can continue to contribute regardless of whether or not we are making money or in a job or in a
Hmm.
position of power somewhere. There's still, you know, a difference to be made just because we exist and we're in relationship with other people.
Hmm. Right. But to go back to the wisdom that we have, we can share that, and we can help younger people step into their wisdom perhaps a little sooner, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, there is a reason cultures had wise women. Um, and I think we've lost sight of that.
I agree.
So yeah.
Thank you for the work you're doing and for doing it in such a fun and joyful way. You know, it doesn't have to be so serious, does it?
No, not at all. And our team, I mean, we have such an amazing team of women in our company, our customer service team. They're kind and they're compassionate, and we all do work very diligently, but we do laugh too. We take our work seriously, but not ourselves, that adage. And we're busy from the minute we walk through the door. Um, but the other thing that we do as a company is 30 hours is full time. We're not into this 40-hour week nonsense. Many of our women have a family or outside of work things that are commitments. And so 30 hours is full time.
And knowing people that work in your company, I've already heard that that's how things roll within parlor games. And I think that that's fantastic. I really do. We need to have lives along with the work that we do.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. How can people find out more about Silky Peach Cream, parlor games, or any other thing that you
Hmm.
would like people to know about?
Well, you can always find us on Facebook. Just look for Parlor Games. But the best place is to go to our website because you'll see our blog there, all our over 100 articles. And that is parlor-games.com. So PARLOR hyphen GAM as in Mary, ES as in Sam.com.
Awesome. And I have seen some of the blogs there. There's a lot of information on that website. So go there, check it out. If you're driving and you can't get to a screen to go do something right now, you can always go to the show notes for this episode and I will have everything for you there. And Kate, thank you so much for joining me today and helping to educate the people that listen to this podcast. And hopefully they can then help educate other people and we can, get more people talking about this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the invitation, Yvonne. It was so fantastic to meet you in person in New York and then to have a longer conversation today. I thank you for creating the space for women to do this kind of learning and to do this kind of thinking about how they can continue to be awesome throughout their lives.
Thank you so much for joining me for this health and wellness series throughout the month of January. This month, we've explored how habits, movement, mindset, and now hormonal health play crucial roles in helping us live our best lives as we age. Today's conversation with Kate Wells was the perfect way to wrap things up as far as I'm concerned, reminding us of the importance of understanding our bodies and challenging outdated myths and embracing the wisdom and the vitality that come with experience. As we move into the rest of the year, I hope these episodes have inspired you to prioritize your health and explore new ways to care for yourself and approach midlife as a time of reinvention and growth. It's a big opportunity, my friend. Let's keep challenging the narratives around aging and proving that it is never too late to bloom. Don't forget to check out the show notes for information about Kate Wells and Parlor Games, along with a link to their blog posts with everything you ever wanted to know about hormone health is there. And hey, if you've enjoyed this series, go back to it later in the year. You might need a little refresh. Subscribe to the podcast if you aren't already. You can sign up for email to stay in touch with me. Leave a review, maybe. Share it with someone who might need a little bit of inspiration today. Until next time, my friend, keep dreaming, keep blooming, and keep playing. See you next week.